We're now going to move down the body and look at a group of exercises to work your abdomen. Now lots of people do sit-ups. We're going to approach this from a martial artist point of view. Now one of your goals may well be to have a pretty six-pack idea. But you're going to have to focus on these exercises and listen to the way we're teaching you, because we don't just want you to have pretty abs, we want you to have hard abs. Now, it's important that we develop the whole area of the abdomen. So we're going to make sure we work each element individually. You've got your lower abs, your middle abs, your upper abs, and your obliques running down the side. Our exercises are going to target these individual places, so the individual group of muscles can be worked in order to strengthen it most effectively. The secret to good training of your abdomen is focus. So often people will do the exercise and allow other muscle groups to come in. Throwing the arms, rolling the lower back. If you want to train your abs, you've got to make sure you really understand what area you're targeting and how best to make it contract. To do this, we're going to focus on your breathing. It's important you understand how to breathe out in the correct part of the exercise, and also understand how not to borrow from the rest of the body. Now your lower back adds into your abdomen, as do your buttocks. So we want to make sure that these two big muscle groups don't interfere too much with the exercises that we're trying to work. Unlike a press-up, where if you go down and do the full range of motion, you're using the same muscles with the same body weight every time. Working your abdomen in sit-ups doesn't work in the same way. There's not the same weight ratio to lift. So how you do your sit-up becomes important. You can sit up and crunch, or you can sit up and really contract. The difference is what's going on mentally, how you're focusing and how much you want to work that particular muscle group. Now we're going to start to work your abdomen. And as we've discussed, your lower abs have got the best endurance. So we're going to make a start there. Anytime you work your lower abs, it involves use with your hip flexors. And also, you're going to have to move your legs. Now your legs are heavy, and as we're raising your legs, there's a serious danger that you want to learn to train incorrectly and bend your spine the wrong way. So what we're going to do to counter this is make sure your chin is tucked into your chest. You want to make sure that at all times your back is flat to the ground. To help increase this, you can place your hands underneath your sacrum, which is the flat part just where your backside and your spine meet. Keep your chin tucked into your chest and maintain that flat back posture. While looking at your feet, you're going to raise your legs to 45 and back down. Raise your legs to 45 degrees and back down. So with your head looking forwards and this lower back pushed into the ground, to help that, place your hands underneath your sacrum, which is the flat part of the base of your spine, and raise your legs slightly off the floor. You're then going to raise your legs to 45 degrees and back down. Raise to 45 degrees and back down. So, laying back on the ground, with your head facing forward, and making sure your lower back is pressed into the floor. To help this, place your hands underneath your sacrum, which is the flat part just at the base of your spine. Now, bend your knees and place them together and rest your heels on the floor. While looking forward, you're going to want to roll your hips back towards your shoulders. It's a small movement, but you're basically rolling your hips and lifting the weight of your legs with your lower abdomen. To make this exercise harder, we're going to add a different element. At the end of the curl, I want you to push your heels away from you towards the ceiling. Make sure your heels go up and not rolling past your head. So we're going to curl up and push the legs away. Again, looking forwards, lower back pushed into the ground. We're going to curl the legs up by rolling the hips. Then we're going to push the heels away. We're going to curl up and push the heels away. Now we're going to raise the legs and we're actually going to push them behind us. But it's important they don't swing all the way from the floor. So we're going to start in a vertical position and then push our legs to 45 degrees over our shoulders and then back to that central position. So, with the head off the ground and the legs straight, push behind you and come back to your central position. This is going to make sure it transfers from your lower abs up to your middle abs. This is going to make sure it transfers from your lower abs up to your middle abs. Now we're going to have the legs straight in that central position and we're going to push them straight up towards the ceiling and back down. Now we're going to look at your basic crunches. And the focus here has to be on getting the abdomen as hard as you can, as quick as you can. So it's going to be a short movement, really focusing on contracting your middle abs. As we spoke about before, this is going to create a lot of internal pressure. We've got to balance that by pulling the navel to the spine and pulling the perineum upwards. So, laying back, bring your heels close to your backside and place your hands by your head. Don't link your hands behind your head as there'll be a tendency to pull and stretch your neck. If you find this is too much weight, you can place your hands over your chest and you're going to sit up. We're going to go back and we're going to crunch and back and back and back. Now we're going to work from that basic crunch and we're going to bring it forward into a full sit-up. So your chest are going to come all the way up to your knees. This is a bigger exercise, drawing on more of the abdominal muscles, also starting to work your hip flexors and your lower back. So we start in the same position. Again, if you can't not throw your hands, keep your hands forward and place them back as far as you need. But make sure your hands stay back and you don't give yourself any kind of impetus with your hands to start with. We're going to sit up and raise our chin up and raise our chest at the end. So we're going to sit up and raise our chest at the end. Now we're going to add another element to that exercise and we're going to use our legs to draw our legs back in at the same time as we sit up. So laying back. We're going to take our legs off the ground, making sure our head remains looking forward, and we're going to come up and meet in the middle. So we're going to meet our chest to our knees. All of the exercises we've just seen, the crunch, the full sit-up, and the sit-up drawing your knees back as well, can also be varied to work your side abdomen or your obliques by adding a slight turn. So our crunches are going to crunch across to each knee. Our full sit-ups are going to turn to the side. And the bringing the legs back, we're going to cycle and bring our elbows to our knees again. Watch these three demonstrated now. We'll now look at your sit-up but in reverse. So we're going to sit with the knees bent and a straight back. Place your hands in front of you to balance, and rather than sit forwards, we're going to sit back. Your hands are forward for your balance, so you're going to sit away and then you're going to pull back to straight. You're going to sit away and then you're going to pull back to straight. You'll feel your feet want to raise off the ground. Make sure there's some pressure exerted down to keep them in good contact. Also make sure your lower back stays straight and you don't hunch forwards. Again, another interesting variation.